Honourable Michael Woodhouse.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. This week is Field Days at Mystery Creek, so it's pretty timely, I think, to reflect on which party in this Parliament really understands the rural economy, regional New Zealand and rural New Zealanders. And if it's any party, it has to be the National Party, the National Government. Because the primary sector is without doubt the backbone of New Zealand's economy. And this government understands the pressures faced by those communities. And why? Well, it's actually worth reflecting on the makeup of the respective caucuses in this House to understand who really gets rural New Zealand. So national: Bill English, David Carter, Amy Adams, Eric Roy, Shane Arden, David Bennett, Ian McKelvey, all people of the land. Other members: Mr Ockenvold, Colin King, Mike Sabin, Kate Wilkinson, Jonathan Young, Phil Heatley, all with experience. Anne Tolley, the Honourable Anne Tolley, of course. Simpson and Coromandel, all understanding the rural economy. I want to contrast that with the Labour Party, Mr Speaker. Louise Upston, that's right, there are so many, the list goes on. I've only got 5 minutes. I want to contrast that with the men of the land and Labour. Damien O'Connor, the most confused member of this House, doesn't know whether to support regional New Zealand or not. There he is, imploring the Minister of Conservation to tell Forest and Bird to pipe down as they oppose mine development after mine development, and then his colleague and the party rail against the decision that very minister makes. Shameful. What about Phil Goff?
Phil who?
That hobby farmer from Auckland. Well, here's my advice to Mr Goff. If one is going to go in a glossy magazine with photos about showing off the hobby farm, at least learn how to carry a lamb. And members on this side will remember 2 years ago this month, that past member, Mr Nash, Stuart Nash, railing against dairy farmers who he claimed only paid 3% tax. Except that wasn't tax on income, that was tax on revenue. The revenue spokesman for Labour didn't understand how revenue was collected in New Zealand. And I can tell the members that Dr David Clark has also made comments like that. And what really makes me sad is that Stuart Nash past and David Clark present are actually the brainy ones of the Labour Party.
That's right.
See where it got Stuart Nash, I think. And what about other parties? The Greens?
What about Andrew Little?
Any people of the land in the Greens?
No.
Farm haters, I would suggest. New Zealand First? None. So let there be no doubt about which party is the party that understands that most important part of New Zealand, economically, culturally and socially. And as Mr Ryle said, this is such an important... Oh, quite a bit, actually. We'll come to that in a minute. The $30 billion that Mr Ryle said is on exports from that economy is only the direct exports. The indirect costs and benefits of that economy include transport, stock agents, farm suppliers, fertiliser, all supporting those industries that export our growth. So I want to go through quickly some of the things that this government's been doing to assist that important part of our economy. The Primary Growth Partnership has so far committed $658 million for at least 13 projects that has a benefit to the economy by 2025 of $7 billion per year. Some really good red meat sector collaboration, Manuka honey trials, harvesting trees from steep land, improving precision of seafood catches and so on. And none of that would be possible were it not for the need to have a really effective agricultural workforce.
That's right.
And as Minister of Immigration, I'm very aware of the importance of making sure we have good skilled workers. And I want to just touch on the RSE scheme, the seasonal worker scheme, which not only benefits the horticulture and viticulture sector in Hawke's Bay, Central Otago and Marlborough, but is actually a really, really important foreign policy objective. It creates very good aid into the Pacific, and it creates skills that those countries so badly need, and I support it, and I think that as Minister of Immigration it will continue, Mr Speaker.
It's a good scheme.
Because if the rural economy is so important to the future wealth of this nation, Mr Speaker, then the party best placed to lead this country and the one that best understands that sector is not the farm haters, it's not the hobby farming unionists, Mr Speaker, but the National Party.
That's right. Good speech. Good.
Mr Speaker.
Brendan Horan.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'd like to address